Today in this class, this online class, we will discuss the development of spinal cord. In the previous class, which was offline, we have discussed already the development of CNS, that is the development of brain. From which part? From the developed neural tube. Look here, this was the neural tube and there was the cranial end and the caudal end of this neural tube. Okay, so in the cranial end there was three brain vesicles, prosencephalon, the mesencephalon and the rhombencephalon for the formation of brain. Now we will discuss here in this class this caudal region, which is going to form what? The spinal cord. Okay, so look here, this is the closed neural tube that we have discussed in the previous class, how this neural tube was formed, okay, from the neuroectoderm. So this is the surface ectoderm, this is the surface ectoderm and this is the closed neural tube, and this is the neural crest cells which was detached from the edges of the neural fold. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the neural tube. Now this neural tube, what it is? In this neural tube, the recently closed neural tube, what you will get? A special type of cells that are known as the neuroepithelial cell. This thickness, this whole of the thickness of this neural tube, it is composed of the neuroepithelial cells. Okay, and this neuroepithelial cells are the cells which is responsible for the development of all the cell types which are present in the future spinal cord. Okay, so this is the neuroepithelial cell and the pattern of this neuroepithelial cell, it is the pseudostratified cells. Okay, what do you mean by pseudostratified cells? All the cells which seem to appear the multi-layered, but they are resting on the basement membrane. This is the pseudostratified, gives a false appearance of the being a multi-layered cells. So this is the neuroepithelial cells. Now what it will do? It will just after the closure of this neural tube, these neuroepithelial cells, it will rapidly divide. Under the process of mitosis, they will rapidly divide and migrate towards the lateral aspect. These are the neuroepithelial cells in the closed neural tube, and these neuroepithelial cells migrate profusely and it forms a layer around itself, isn't it? It will form a layer around itself, and this layer, it is known as what? Look here, I have drawn the diagram for you all. This is the lining epithelium or the epithelial layer, and the cells are migrating. Look here, the neuroepithelial cells are migrating from here, and where it is going? In the adjacent part, either side of this closed tube, which is known as the mantle layer. What it is known? Whole of this area, the green color bounded area, this one, it is known as the mantle layer, which is just adjacent to this epithelial lining, which is closing a lumen inside that. Okay, so this mantle layer, it is the future grey column. Look here, this is the future grey column or the grey matter, you can say, of a matured spinal cord. So this mantle layer, you see here, this is the dorsal aspect, here it is the ventral aspect, isn't it? So on the dorsal aspect, due to the profuse adding on the cells here in this mantle layer, there are the lateral swellings on the dorsal aspect as well as the ventral aspect, and they form two structures which is later form the lamina. You can say the lamina. A plate is formed by the divisions of this neuroepithelial cells, collection of these cells here in the mantle layer. So this area which is present dorsally will be known as what? Alar lamina. Alar lamina or the alar plate. Okay? Isn't it? So dorsally this lamina which is known as the alar lamina, and on the ventral aspect what you will get? You will get the basal lamina. Okay, so this is the basal lamina and this is the alar lamina. Okay, now see here in the human hair, a sulcus. There is a longitudinal sulcus which is present here, which will divide this mantle layer into the alar lamina and the basal lamina. And at the junction of both the lamina, that is the alar and the basal, here in the red color, what you will see? What is that? It is the lateral horn, lateral plane. Okay, either side. What is that? The lateral plane. Or you can say the intermediate horn. Intermediate horn. This is the intermediate horn here. This is the dorsal horn. This is the dorsal horn. This is the ventral horn. Okay. But this intermediate horn, where it is present? It is present, this condensation of the cells. It is present only in the thoracolumbar region, which is concerned with the sympathetic outflow. That means the sympathetic fibers from the spinal cord, from where it is coming? From the whole of the thoracic as well as the upper lumbar region. So these horns, these are related with the sympathetic outflow. That is, the preganglionic fibers are derived from this horn. Okay, so it is the pattern. So just the neuroepithelial cells are collected here in the dorsal as well as the ventral aspect. So what are these? These are the cells. From where these cells are coming? In the basal and alar lamina, these are coming from the neuroepithelial cell. Now you people tell me whether these neuroepithelial cells are directly as it is going inside here, it is deposited like that, or it is transforming itself. It is transformed before the proliferation or before entering migration into this mantle layer. Anyone? What happens? Before migrating, what happens before migrating? This neuroepithelial cells, what it will do? This neuroepithelial cells, it becomes what? Apolar cells. Okay. Then it becomes the bipolar. Again it becomes unipolar. And later again it becomes the multipolar cells. Okay. So this is the pattern. This is the unipolar. Again this is the bipolar. Again it becomes the unipolar and then it becomes the multipolar. Okay. So before the migration of the neuroepithelial cells, it is not in this form. It is transformed in a special type of cells that is known as the neuroblast. What it is known as? Neuroblast. What do you mean by neuroblast? Blast literally means formation. Blast literally, the suffix is here blast, which means the formation. And what the prefix there is neuro. So neuro formation, neurons formation. So these cells are derived from this neuroepithelial cells. So what is the character of these neuroblast cells? The neuroblast cells are the nucleus rounded in shape with the pale side nucleoplasm and a very dark staining nucleolus. So look here, this transformation. Now this is the neuroblast cells from the neuroepithelial cells. Once the a very important point here, once the neuroblast cells, that means the neuroblast which is going to form the neurons, once it is formed, now it will lose its mitotic property, a very important point. Further it will not divide, isn't it? So this is the neuroblast cells. So neuroblast cells, it is when it will migrate here in the mantle layer, first it is unipolar, then again it becomes bipolar, again it becomes unipolar, and later it becomes the multipolar. So this is the histogenesis of cells which is forming inside the formation of the mantle layer. So in this form the cells are present. and the mature neurons are the multipolar neurons. These multipolar neurons are the mature one. Okay, so this was the histogenesis, how the neuroepithelial cells, it is transforming itself into the neuroblast cells. Okay, the neuroepithelial, one thing you should keep in mind, the neuroepithelial cells which is present throughout the thickness of this neural tube, the 3 type of cells it has to form. But depending upon the priority, it does its work. The priority is first the formation of the neurons. So the neuroblast cells will be formed first. On the basis of priority, the neuroblast cells is formed first. That means the neuroblast, it is migrating where? In the mantle layer. And the adding on gradual addition of these neuroblast cells, there are the swellings on the dorsal and the ventral aspect, which is known as the alar lamina and the basal lamina. Okay. Now, from these neurons, these neurons, the multipolar neurons which are present here, the axons, these are the cell bodies which are present here. The axons which are coming out, there are the axons which are coming out from, suppose this is a neuron here, and the axons which are coming out. Look here. Okay. So this is the region just outer to this mantle layer, this white portion. This is the region which is getting the white appearance, and this will be known as the marginal zone. So there are 3 layers. This is the ependymal layer, or this is the mantle layer, and this is the marginal layer. The 3 layers of the developing spinal cord. Now here the neurons which is present here, the axon which is coming out like this, what it will do? Some part of the axon of this neuron, it is present in the marginal layer. This is the marginal layer. Okay. This red one, this is the marginal layer. Okay. Now the part of the axon, there are 2 components of the axon emerging out from these neurons. One inside the marginal zone and one outside the CNS, you can say. That means this part, it is going to form the CNS, part of the CNS, that is the central spinal cord. But this part, it is not the CNS, it is outside the central nervous system. That's why it is included in the peripheral part. So there are 2 aspects of the axon which is coming out, and due to the further myelination of these axons, whether it is inside the spinal cord, whether it is outside the spinal cord, it has to be myelinated, isn't it? So this axon, it myelinates. And how it myelinates? From that myelination, there is need of what? Again, some special type of cells is needed for the myelination. Okay. Now, this neuroepithelial cells, now just see what are the type of cells these neuroepithelial cells form. Okay. First we have discussed what? The neuroblast. That is the neuroblast cells. Neuroepithelial cells, that will first it will form the neuroblast cells. Second one is glioblast or the spongioblast cells. Spongioblast or the glial cells. And the third one which lines the cavity, it is the ependymal cells. Ependymal cells. So look here, this neuroepithelial cells will give 3 type of cells in the future spinal cord formation. This is the neuroblast, this is the spongioblast, that is the glioblast cells, and this is the third one is the ependymal cells. Now we have discussed here the neuroblast cells. That means neurons, the cells which are concerned with the formation of neurons in the mantle region, not in the marginal region. So in the marginal region, this thing should be clear in mind. This mantle layer and the marginal layer, the difference is here the neurons are present, and in this marginal layer, there are no neurons here. There are the ascending and the descending tracts of the neurons. That means the axons coming and going inside where? In the mental layer. This is the sensory part. This is the motor part. We will discuss now. So, the marginal layer are formed by the axons which are leaving or coming to the alar lamina or the basal lamina, which later myelinates. So, thus there is the need of the another type of cells which will be responsible for the myelination of the axons which is present inside the marginal layer. Okay, so this marginal layer or the future white matter. Look here, this is the white matter and this is the grey matter here. So white matter in the future spinal cord, we say this is the white matter, it is surrounding the grey matter. So white matter, it is white because due to the myelination of those axons which are present inside this marginal layer. So which cell is responsible for the myelination of these axons inside the marginal layer? So the spongioblast, look here, the second type of cells which is derived from these neuroepithelial cells are the glial cells. Okay, now see what are the spongioblast cells or the glial cells. The glial cells or the spongioblast cells, it is present only in the marginal layer due to the need of myelination, or it is also present in the mental layer. Yes, please understand carefully, these glioblast cells or the glial cells, you have heard in the previous class, astrocytes. Astrocytes, the supporting cells of the central nervous system, isn't it? So this astrocytes was the fibrillar and protoplasmic. Okay, astrocytes and as well as the oligodendrocytes. Oligodendrocytes. What is this astrocytes, where it is present, and these oligodendrocytes, where it is present, and what it will do? Astrocytes, it is of two types, fibrillar as well as protoplasmic. Both of these, fibrillar as well as the protoplasmic astrocytes, it has got the supportive functions as well as the metabolic functions for which type of cells? Which type of cell needs this function? That is the mental layer. The neurons which are present here, that means the cells which are present here in the mental region, mental area, here there is the infiltration of these secondary cells, second type of cells, which again it is derivative of the neuroepithelial cells. That means the infiltration of the fibrillar and the protoplasmic astrocytes. Fibrillar as well as the protoplasmic astrocytes, these are the spongy cells, spongioblast derivative cells, which has got a special type of function to support the neurons as well as help in the metabolic functions. That's why these astrocytes, it is going where? The neuroepithelial cells, which is giving rise to the spongioblast cells, which is giving rise to the astrocytes, they will migrate into the mental layer. Okay? And this oligodendrocytes, what it will do? It is present in the either side of the axons. It is present in the marginal layer. And this is the, suppose this is the axon, and the oligodendrocytes are present by the side of these axons which are present in the marginal layer. Okay, so the priority wise, first of all, the neuroepithelial has the priority to form the neuroblast cells. Once the neuroblast cells has been formed, later it forms what? The spongioblast. Secondary cells, supporting cells are formed by this neuroepithelial cell. And once the spongioblast cells or the supporting cells has been ceased formation, then it will form the ependymal cells that will lines this cavity here. The cavity or the central canal of the spinal cord. This is the central canal here, which is lined by the ependymal cells in future, and that is formed by the neuroepithelial cells. So these were the major 3 types of cells which is only derived from the single. This is the only mother cells you will get here in the whole of the thickness of this neural tube, which is known as the neuroepithelial cell. All type of cells which are present in the spinal cord has to be derived from this neuroepithelial cell. But the priority is different. First neuroblast, then spongioblast, and then the ependymal cells. Okay, now look here. What is the, concentrate on this diagram. This is the epithelial lining, and this is the mental layer, and this is the marginal layer. So in this, the formation of spinal cord, there are various stages. Okay, first there is the formation of the mental layer, and mental layer we have discussed now. There is the condensation of the neuroblast around this epithelial lining on the dorsal and ventral swellings, and lateral to that there is the marginal layer. Again, this neural tube here, look here, this portion and this portion. After the formation of this mental layer, what happens? Here, this part, that means, what is this? This is the midline structure of a neural tube. So midline portion of this neural tube, it is devoid of the neuroblast cells, and in future these part, it is known as the, here it is towards the base, it is known as the floor plate. What it is known as? It is the floor plate, and here it is towards the dorsal aspect, this part which is known as the roof plate. So please understand this nomenclature nicely. It will help in your future studies. So roof plate, it is the part dorsally in the midline, and floor plate, it is the part of the midline neural tube on the ventral aspect, which is devoid of the neuroblast cells. That means there are no neurons present in the roof plate as well as the floor plate. Then what does this area contains? This area will contain the fibers crossing up, going down like this. Only the crossing fibers it contains. No neurons are present here. Okay? Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So this was the roof plate and this was the floor plate, and this is the alar lamina and the basal lamina. Now come to the story of this alar lamina and the basal lamina. All of you are going to become a doctor. Must have a dream to buy a BMW car, isn't it? So it is a dream of all the doctors at least. So BMW, इसे भूलोगे नहीं आप लोग. Basal lamina here, basal lamina, isn't it? And M, basal lamina, it is concerned with which function? It is concerned with the motor function. Yes or no? The basal lamina, that means the basal lamina of the mental layer, it is concerned with which function of this future spinal cord? The neurons which are added here in this mental layer, it is concerned with the motor function. Yes. So you always remember this BMW. Now alar lamina, just opposite will be the sensory component, isn't it? In the topography of the cerebrum, you will see there is a central sulcus here. Anterior to that there is the motor area. Posterior to that there is the sensory area, isn't it? So anywhere anteriorly there is the motor and posteriorly there is the sensory area. So this is the sensory and this is the motor one. Because this is the, what it is? In the future spinal cord, this is the posterior horn and this is the anterior horn. So So anterior horn of the spinal cord, it is concerned with motor function, and the posterior horn or the dorsal horn, it is concerned with the sensory function. Get that? Okay? And this is the motor. Now, due to the rapid proliferation of this, what is happening here? Due to the rapid proliferation adding on the neuroblast cells, these come closer, the lumen part. This is coming closer and form a slit here. Here, look here. Here it will form a slit which is known as what? Dorsal median septum. What it is? It is the dorsal median septum. In a adult spinal cord, what you will see, this is the dorsal median septum, and here it is the ventral median fissure. Here it is what? This one is the ventral median fissure. The rest of the lumen, it is present in the form of a central canal. When you see the slide of the spinal cord in your examination under the microscope, you will get, the teacher will teach you, it is a butterfly appearance, isn't it? So this is the butterfly appearance of the transverse section and the mature adult spinal cord, in which you will get in the center there is the central canal, and the butterfly appearance as shaped, that is the grey matter, and adjacent to that there is the white matter. Okay. So now it is clear from where this grey matter and white matter is coming. Yes or no? From where this?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear? So this was the part alar plate and the basal plate, and forming the posterior horn and the anterior horn. Okay. Now this is the what? Lateral plate, and lateral plate or the lateral horn or the intermediate horn lying between the alar lamina and the basal lamina, which I have discussed earlier. It is concerned with what? The sympathetic outflow, isn't it? Sympathetic outflow. Now outside the central nervous system, I have drawn this diagram for you all to explain something. This is the surface ectoderm, the rest of the ectoderm. In the first class, remember, the rest of the ectoderm, it is forming the surface ectoderm once the neural tube is formed from the neuroectoderm, okay? And the cut edge was, these are the cells, specialized cells, which is known as the neural crest cells. Clear? These are the neural crest cells, and these neural crest cells are present along the entire length of the neural tube, like this, isn't it? So what it will do, whether these neural crest cells will add any structures which is adjacent to the developing spinal cord, isn't it? Yes or no? Tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
What it will do? Suppose the basic difference. Now look here. What is the basic difference between the neurons which is present in the basal plate and the neurons which are present in the alar plate? Anyone? What are the basic difference between the neurons which are present in the basal lamina and the alar lamina? Anyone? Tell me. Look here. The other structures which are adjacent to the developing spinal cord, what are those structures? Suppose one of them, this is the what? This intermediate horn, it is concerned with the sympathetic outflow. Okay. So sympathetic outflow. So it is containing what? The preganglionic sympathetic fibers. And where it is relaying? In the sympathetic ganglia, which is present along the whole of the length of the spinal cord on the either side. Yes or no? Either side of this spinal cord, there is a column, that is the chain of the sympathetic chain, which is present. Now, these preganglionic fibers, it is relaying here in the sympathetic ganglia, and from there, these are the sympathetic ganglion chain, okay, which is present in the spinal cord. We will see the paravertebral gutter. There are the sympathetic chain from where it is deriving. Whether it is deriving from the neuroepithelial cells? Yes or no? Anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
It is deriving from the neuroepithelial cells?
Neural crest.
Yes, very good. The neural crest cells are responsible. That's why I have drawn the diagram here with red. This is the neural crest cells are the red color here. So, the sympathetic chain, this sympathetic chain, it is derived from which structure? The neural crest derivatives. Okay? And this intermediate horn, there it is concerned with the sympathetic outflow. So, it will give which fibers? It is giving the preganglionic sympathetic fibers, which is relaying in the sympathetic chain. From here, the postganglionic fibers, postganglionic sympathetic fiber arises and supplies the organ. Clear? Yes or no? This was one of the derivative of the neural crest cells, which is developing by the side of the developing spinal cord, that is the sympathetic chain. Okay. Now, here there is a motor neuron, here is the sensory neuron. Now, what is the difference between this neuron and this neuron? Anyone? What would be the basic difference? Axon, here it is emerging from the motor neuron and it is going along with this, and the bundles of the axons coming out. The axons coming from here, these are forming what? The ventral root of what? Spinal nerve. What it is? Now we are discussing the spinal nerve. Okay. From in the spinal cord, there is a nomenclature spinal nerve. And how this spinal nerve, different section of the branches of the spinal nerves are formed. It has got a ventral root, it has got a dorsal root, it has got a trunk, and then it again dividing into the ventral ramus and a dorsal ramus. All of you must be knowing that. So, how it is forming? Look here, which is giving the axon here. It is many of the neurons, the bundle of the axons leaving this spinal cord and coming peripherally, and the bundle of these axons which is emerging on the ventral aspect of the spinal cord will be known as the ventral root, or it is concerned with the motor function. So these axons carry what? Motor impulses from this spinal cord and supplies the muscles. Okay? Yes, motor means it is going to supply any muscle. Isn't it? So, motor impulses, it is supplying some muscles via this motor root of a spinal nerve. Now, so this was actually the neuroblast cells which is migrating in the basal lamina. It is derived from the neuroepithelial cells. That means the neuroepithelial cells which are forming the neuroblast, and it is migrating here. The true neurons here. But here, the neuroblast which is adding towards the alar lamina, the axons which are emerging from these, sensory neurons, because we have discussed the alar lamina, it is concerned with the sensory functions. So, unless and until nerve impulses, some nerve conduction, the impulses which is not traveling from the periphery to the higher center or the central nervous system. It will not work. So you have to receive the input, receive the impulse from the periphery. For that, what the first order neuron? The first order neuron, that means don't get confused. The addition of the neuroblast in the alar lamina, it is not the first order neuron cells. This thing should be clear. The cells, the neuroblast cells which is forming the neurons here, sensory neurons here, in the alar plate or the alar lamina are not the first order neuron. That means sensation from the periphery, it is not received here. This thing should be clear in your mind. Then what is the story again? Again there is the need of the neural crest cells here. Neural crest cells, what it forms? Again, on the dorsal side, the neural crest cells derivative. Just like the sympathetic ganglia, there is the dorsal root ganglia. Very good, the dorsal root ganglia. Okay. This is the what? Dorsal root ganglia. And it is containing which type of cells? Anyone? Anyone please?
Unipolar.
Yes, right. Pseudo-unipolar cells are there. Pseudo-unipolar cells are there. Okay. And these are the pseudo-unipolar cells. These cells which is present here in the ganglia, it is derived from the neural crest cells. Then what these cells do? These neurons, the neurons which are present in this ganglia, what does this neuron do? It has got two of the processes. Isn't it? The two processes are there in these neurons. Pseudo. One, two processes are emerging from these neurons present in the dorsal root ganglia. One will be the central process and another will be the peripheral process. Here are the, what you draw are receptors. Suppose here is the skin. Okay. Here are the receptors, suppose skin here. So, and another process, it is the central process. So, each neuron in the dorsal root ganglia, that means any impulse which is initiated, suppose there is a cut here and this sensation, it is carried via this peripheral process of these pseudo-unipolar neurons, and which via the central process, this information it is given to the sensory neuron which is derived from the derivative of the neuroepithelial cells. Okay. So, this thing, it should be clear in your mind. The dorsal root ganglia, it is the cells they are present are the first order neuron cells. And here in the alar lamina, the neurons which are present, they are the second order neuron. Here the sensation, it is given to the which neuron? This second neuron. The pain fiber it is, the temperature it is, or the touch it is, whatever sensation or the impulses are carried to given information to these second order neurons. And from these second order neurons, the axons which will emerge, they will go to the above or the higher centers. Isn't it? Where it has to go. So, this was all about the derivative of the neural crest cells along with which is in the working in collaboration with the developing spinal cord. That's why it is necessary to understand the derivative of there are a list of derivative of the neural crest cells. But here we are concerned with the development of spinal cord only. That's why we will discuss the derivative related with the development of spinal cord. One is the dorsal root ganglia, one the sympathetic chain. Okay. Now tell me, is there any structure which is derived from the neural crest cells? Anyone? which is derived from the neural crest cells. Any more structure? Any covering or something like that? Anyone? What? The CNS, it is covered by layers, isn't it?
Schwann cells.
What?
Leptomeninges.
Yes, coverings. I am asking the coverings. We will discuss the myelination properly. But before going to the myelination of these cells, these axons inside the spinal cord and outside, we will discuss here. But before that, just the derivative, one of it is remaining here. Tell me. Anyone?
Leptomeninges. Ma'am, leptomeninges.
Leptomeninges. Leptomeninges means what?
Pia matter and arachnoid matter.
Here, look. One of the covering, pia matter, arachnoid matter and the dura matter. This is the part of the spinal cord. Okay. All the side of this neural tube in a form of a layer. It is derived from the neural crest cells. And that covering, it is known as what? That covering, it is known as? Anyone? Pia matter. Pia matter, the covering which is adjacent to the spinal cord, it is the pia matter. Okay. So one of the derivative of the neural crest cells which is concerned with the, which is involved in the formation of the spinal cord, it is the pia matter, neural crest cells. So sympathetic ganglia, the dorsal root ganglia, the pia matter, all these structures are derivative of the neural crest cells here. Okay. So rest, then outer to this pia matter, again two layers are there, arachnoid, pia matter, then comes the arachnoid matter and then the dura matter. Okay. So both of them, dura and arachnoid, it is how it is formed by the condensation of the mesenchymal cells, surrounding tissues. Okay. So pia matter, it is the, sometimes in the objective you are asked what are the layer which is the derivative of this. So this is the derived from the neural crest cells. Okay. Now there are the three type of cells we have discussed, which is related with the development of the spinal cord. What were those three type of cells? Neuroblast cells, spongioblast cells and ependymal cells. Very good. Now come to the very important point. Have you heard the name of phagocytic cells? It is present here or not? A very important question. A very important question which is asked. The phagocytic cell present in the central nervous system.
Microglial cells.
Very good. The phagocytic cell. Very good. The phagocytic cells, that is the microglia cells. Okay. These microglial cells, it is derived from which part? The vascular mesenchyme. Vascular mesenchyme. Mesenchymal cells. So these microglia cells are derived from the vascular mesenchymal cells. What do you mean by this? That means these phagocytic cells, scavenger cells, it is also present here in the central nervous system, and it is supposed to be the derivative of the vascular mesenchymal cells. That means whatever we have read here, all was the story related with the ectoderm. Then what about this mesenchymal? It is the derivative mesodermal. So how it is possible? How these microglia cells it is infiltrating? Once the neurons are formed. In between the neurons, there are invaginations of the blood vessels here. The blood vessels are also infiltrated. Vascular mesenchyme infiltrate here in between the neurons for the nutrition here, and through this vascular mesenchyme, these microglia cells are derived. Okay. So this is a very important for the viva as well as the objective. These microglia cells. Okay. So please note it down. The microglia cells are derived from the vascular mesenchyme. A very important point related with this. Now come to the myelination of the axons in the developing spinal cord. In the developing spinal cord. Myelination. Myelination. The word myelination here. Myelination means what? There is a insulating material on the axon. Suppose here it is a neuron. Look, I am drawing a diagram here. Here it is a motor neuron, okay, in the basal lamina, and the axons which are emerging from here, there are two parts then. One part of the axon which is present here in the marginal layer. This is the marginal layer, okay. So this axon and the part which is outside the spinal cord, this part of the axon, whether they will get the myelination from the same type of cells, or because there are two aspects. One part of the axon inside the CNS, another part of the axon outside the CNS, isn't it? So what you will know then, the neural crest cells, again neural crest cells, you know, Schwann cells. Do you know that? You have remembered in the previous class, neural crest cells gives origin to another cells, that is the Schwann cells. A very important point that is we are discussing here. It is very important for the objective viva also. So please keep in mind, the Schwann cells are responsible for the myelination of which part of axon? The part of the axon which is coming outside by the roots, ventral as well as the dorsal root. Okay. So this part of the axon, it will get myelinated by cells that are the Schwann cells. Okay. So our insulating material just around the length of the, which is coiling on the total length of the axon, which is done by this Schwann cell, what does do? It wraps the axons and coil upon itself and form a sheath-like structure which is known as the neurolemma sheath. Neurolemma sheath. Okay. So, or you can say the myelin sheath, it is formed by the repeated coiling of these Schwann cells by the outer aspect, that is the part of the peripheral nervous system. So the Schwann cells, it is responsible for the myelination, not in the central nervous system, rather it is the peripheral nervous system. Now another type, the oligodendroglial cells. Do you remember that? Oligodendroglial cells, it is present where? The oligodendroglial cells. Just now we have discussed, okay, in the marginal layer, in the mental layer for the neuron there were astrocytes, okay, but oligodendroglial cells, it is the same function as the Schwann cell does. Okay, the function is same but the origin is different. Schwann cell, it is derived from the neural crest cells, but the oligodendroglial cells, look here, oligodendroglial cells here, what are these cells? These are the oligodendroglaya cells. Oligodendroglaya cells. These oligodendroglaya cells are responsible for the myelination of that part of the axon which is present inside the spinal cord. And from where it is coming? It is coming from the neuroepithelial cells, one of the part of the and which is present in the marginal layer. The difference between the oligodendroglaya cells and the Schwann cells. These oligodendroglaya cells, it also myelinates the part of the axon, but at a time one oligodendroglaya cells can myelinate more than one axon. But here one Schwann cells will myelinate only a single axon. This is the basic difference. One difference is from the derivative. The neural crest cells derivative is the Schwann cell. Okay? And the neural tube derivative, it is the oligodendroglaya cells, or the ectodermal derivative it is. So, okay? And these oligodendroglaya cells can myelinate up to 50 axons. 50 axons at a time. And this can myelinate only single axon. Single axon. Okay. So this is the difference between the oligodendroglaya cells and the Schwann cells. When does these myelination starts? The myelination starts, the process starts at which age group? The myelination, it is very important aspect related with the function of the tracts. How those tracts function, the pain, the touch, temperature, pathway, whatever tracts is needed, how it functions. So first of all, the myelination, it starts at which age group? 4th month.
4th month of
Intrauterine life. Very good. The 4th month of the intrauterine life. And these myelination continues after birth also. Up to 2 to 3 years after birth. Okay, just after birth, first 2 to 3 years, some axons are getting myelinated after birth also. But the process of myelination starts at the 4th month of the intrauterine life. Clear? One thing more important is, look here. This is the motor and here it is the sensory one. Which neuron has got the priority to differentiate earlier? Either motor, this motor one, or this the sensory one. And this differentiation, for a kind information, the motor neuron, it is getting priority. It differentiates earlier at the cost of the sensory neuron. This differentiates start at the 4th week of the intrauterine life. That means sometimes if you are asked which neuron forms earlier, differentiate earlier from the neuroblast, that is the motor neurons are differentiating earlier than the sensory neuron at the 4th week of the intrauterine life. Look here, the 4th week, and here the myelination of those axons coming out from these are myelinated at the 4th month of the intrauterine life. Clear? Is there any confusion?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. So this was very important part, the myelination. Okay. Now we have discussed all the aspects, the development of the different part, and now suppose I am drawing a diagram here of a spinal cord. Okay. So, what about the spinal nerves? Spinal nerves, here is the dorsal root ganglia. Dorsal root ganglia. What is this? What is this? Here the motor neurons and the axons coming out in bundles from here. they unite and form what? They unite and form the ventral root. What it is known as? This is the ventral root. Ventral root. Okay. Then here, the central process which is coming towards the to relay in the sensory neurons. Okay. So, these bundles, these are called what? Dorsal root. This will be known as the dorsal root. Dorsal root, and this is the ventral root. Now, how does this root, both the roots, it unites here. The both root will unite and form what? A common trunk here. Isn't it? A common trunk will be formed. And this is what? Trunk of the spinal nerve. This all together, this is the dorsal root of the spinal nerve. This is the ventral root of the spinal nerve. And this is the trunk. This is the trunk of the spinal nerve. That means ventral root, it is containing the motor fibers. This is concerned with the motor fibers. This is carrying what? The sensory fibers. Okay. And here both the bundles are mixing in the trunk. Okay. This part of the spinal nerve, that is the trunk here. In the brachial plexus or in the gross lectures, you have discussed that there is the root of a spinal nerve, the trunk, then the division and the cords, which is forming what? Brachial plexus, the lumbosacral plexus. You remember that? So, these are the trunk. Sometimes in the viva it is asked which part of the spinal nerve it is emerging through the intervertebral foramen. That means suppose here are the vertebrae are here. Okay. Vertebrae are here present. So, sometimes you might be asked through this intervertebral foramina which part of the spinal nerve, the trunk of the spinal nerve it is passing. After that, intervertebral foramen, what this trunk do? The trunk of this spinal nerve, again it is dividing dorsally and ventrally. Clear? From this common trunk, some twigs are going dorsally and some twigs or some fibers are going antero or the lateral aspect. This is smaller. This is what? Dorsal ramus. This is known as the dorsal ramus and this is known as the ventral ramus of the spinal nerve, isn't it? So, can you tell me what are the areas? These fibers, again it is mixed, sensory or motor only? Tell me. Both the branches, whether it is the dorsal ramus, it is mixed, it is containing both, sensory and motor, both. Suppose, if I say the dorsal ramus fibers of the spinal nerves, it is supplying which structures? Look at the back. Back there is the part of the skins, muscles are there on the back as well as the joints are also there, vertebral joints. So all these structure, it is supplied by this dorsal ramus. Okay, by these nerve roots. Rest of the body parts, limbs, anterolateral region, that means the ventral ramus has got the more area to supply at the cost of the dorsal ramus. And these ventral ramus are, both the branches are mixed, not whether sensory or only motor. So these ventral ramus, it is concerned with the formation of the brachial plexus, the lumbosacral plexus, okay, and that is concerned with the supply of the only a strip of the muscles on the back and the joints present over there. Okay, So it is, I think it is already more than 3:30. 5 minutes left. Okay. So what we will discuss now? This thing, it is clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
How the spinal nerve it is forming and what, from where it is coming? The sympathetic ganglion, whatever it is. Duster? Okay, sure. Now come to the very important, the last stage of the development of the spinal cord. We have discussed all the aspects. Only aspects left, it is the positional changes of the spinal cord. Positional changes of the spinal cord. That means shifting of the spinal cord. So what happens? Why this nomenclature is given for the spinal cord, the positional changes? Look, at the third month of the intrauterine life. These things we are discussing because sometimes it is asked in the objectives or viva. So the length of the spinal cord at the third month of the intrauterine life, it is as up to the whole of the vertebral column. Okay, this is the vertebral column, suppose. And this is the spinal cord here. Our spinal cord is here. In the third month of the intrauterine life, this length of the spinal cord, length, okay, at the third month, it is the total length of the vertebral canal. So the spinal nerves which will emerge from this spinal cord, it will pass through the foramen adjacent foramen, the corresponding intervertebral foramen. It will not, there will be no obliquity. It will not go downwards to exit from the intervertebral foramen. The corresponding numerical value, the same, the corresponding intervertebral foramen, it is coming out. Because the length and both the length, the vertebral column length and the spinal cord length, it is same. But what happens at the time of birth? At the time of the birth, what happens? There is little bit regression of the spinal cord. Suppose at which level it comes? At the birth, this is L1, this is L2 and this is L3. The length of the spinal cord, it regresses little bit above and it is coming up to the lower border of the L3. Okay, lower border of the L3, the lower end of the spinal cord. But what happens at the adult spinal cord? If it is of adult, why it is like that? There is differential growth. The rate of the growth of the vertebrae are more in relation with this spinal cord. So there is differential growth between the two structures, the spinal cord and the vertebrae. So that it is like that. So in the adult spinal cord, the level of the lower end of the spinal cord, again it is shifted upwards. What it will be now?
Lower border of
L1. Yes, very good. Lower border of the L1 or upper border of L2, the junction. So this is at the adult. So this was again it is also a part of the development of the spinal cord. The gradual regression above, it is shifting above. It is not shifting above. Rather the differential growth in the rate of the growth formation between these two structures are different. That's why it is like that. So this was one of the aspect of the development of the spinal cord. Now, if you people are interested in knowing some of the molecular regulation of the development of spinal cord, then I will discuss it. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Only
Yes, ma'am.
okay, very good. So only 2 to 3 points are here. It is mainly important for the PG students, but you people can also understand if you are interested then. So this is a neural tube. Okay. Now from this neural tube, the part which is developing here, the future spinal cord. Okay. Which part it is forming dorsal or the sensory component, which part it is forming the motor component. That means there are genes, there are molecular regulations of this formation of the motor area, whether which part of the motor neurons are going to form the motor neurons, which neurons are going to form the sensory neurons, which will decide, who will decide this. So there are the molecular regulations here. So what under the molecular regulation, what you will see, look here, this is the neural tube. Again here is what, the surface ectoderm. We have already discussed the genes in the development of the neural fold. Do you remember that BMP4, isn't it? The concentration of the BMP4 genes, how it was regulating the formation of the neural tube, the neural crest cells and the surface ectoderm. The highest concentration was the lateral side and the lowest concentration was needed for the neural tube. So this is the surface ectoderm. This is the surface ectoderm. And this is the neural tube here. Okay. And there are the neural crest cells on the either side. And a very important structure. Do you remember the notochord? Notochord, which was present, which was the prime inducer for the formation of the neurulation, or the neurulation means formation of the neural tube. So prime inducer structure, the notochord, yes or no, which was on the ventral aspect of this neural tube. So look here, this surface ectoderm, it is expressing a gene, a very important gene. What is that? BMP. BMP4 genes. Molecules are present here in the plate, which is, this is the roof plate. If you the neural tube, this is the dorsal side, then this is the roof plate, and here it is what? Here it is the floor plate. Okay. So towards the roof plate, there is the surface ectoderm, which is expressing the gene BMP4, the primary. Okay. Under the influence of this BMP4, there is a second signaling of this roof plate structure, and from here the second type of BMP4 proteins are expressed, which is known as the BMP4, BMP5, BMP7. Okay. So BMP4, BMP5, BMP7, under the influence of the BMP4 protein, which was present in the surface ectoderm, it gives the second signaling to express these molecules from the roof plate. Along with this roof plate, there is another molecules which is added upon that is known as the transforming growth factor B. Transforming growth factor B, which is present in higher concentration on the roof plate. That means towards the dorsal side of the neural tube. Okay. So under that means transforming growth factor family it is, and it is rich in the higher concentration on the dorsal side. So once there is higher concentration and the BMP4, again the second signaling which is influenced here, it will activate some other transcriptive factor. Okay. Some other molecules which are expressed for the dorsalization, for the dorsally, a gene which is present here, the name of that is again dorsally. So, the part which is on the dorsal side and which is forming the sensory component of the spinal cord, who will decide? This will decide, the dorsally. So, these factors. So, a second cascade is formed. Under this cascade, what happens? Another molecules which are released, which is known as PAX 3 and 7. These are deciding for the formation of the neurons present on the dorsal side, that they would be the sensory one. Okay. Just opposite to that, that means on the ventral side, there is a notochord. Notochord here. And notochord, it is expressing a very important molecule which is known as the sonic hedgehog. Sonic hedgehog. And sonic hedgehog gene. Okay. This is in the highest concentration in the lower, towards the floor plate. This is the floor plate, and below that this is the notochord. So, the notochord, it is expressing this sonic hedgehog gene in the highest concentration here, and under of the influence of this, the floor plate, again it is also expressing the sonic hedgehog gene in the highest concentration. On the other side, there is the transforming growth factor B in the highest concentration. Okay, so there are two what? Concentration gradient is created in a single neural tube structure. Okay, on the dorsal side there is the highest concentration of the transforming growth factor B. On the ventral aspect towards the notochord, there is the highest concentration of the sonic hedgehog gene. Okay, so these two concentration gradient will decide. So here this, under the highest concentration of this, again a transcription factor it is produced, and under that there are dorsally, and dorsally it is giving the expressing this PAX 3 and PAX 7 genes, which is going to decide the part to be the neurons to be the sensory one. Okay, and the sonic hedgehog gene, which is getting the secondary transcriptor factor, secondary cascade, and that will be under the influence of NKX 2.2 and 6.1. You are not needed to remember like that. You just remember the sonic hedgehog and the on the ventral aspect, and the transmission Buttigieg family B, transforming growth factor B on the dorsal side. So, जिसका concentration ज़्यादा होगा, the concentration of TGF is highest, that will form the sensory neurons on the dorsal aspect of the neural tube, and the under the influence of the sonic hedgehog gene. Okay, on the ventral side of the neural tube, there will be the formation of the motor neurons, and the NKX 6.2 and KX 6.2 plus PAX 6, they will decide that the motor neurons, the ventral neurons will differentiate. Okay, so this was the sum of the molecular regulations of the neural tube. So, which is how the sensory neurons and motor neurons will be formed under the influence of the which molecular regulations or the genetic regulation. Okay, clear? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just go and read today by yourself the development of spinal cord, and in the